Hi guys, welcome to the flight today as we're down in London Luton Airport with TUI Airlines with the PMDG 737-800. We're going to be doing a flight to Sion in Switzerland where we're going to come in for the IGS, the Instrument Guidance System approach down into runway 25, which is practically, we're going to follow it down on the ILS, but the localizer isn't aligned with the runway, so around 4 DME from the runway we're going to then break off to a left hand turn and then swing into a right to land down onto 25. Got the top performance for takeoff, so we can use that when we do depart out of runway 25 for London Luton. So don't forget to like and subscribe guys, leave your comments down below, and now we get inside the cockpit and start the aircraft up ready for our departure. So here we are in the 737-800. Go overhead, get the battery on and guarded, standby power is guarded and ground power is on. On the exit lights, get the chimes with the fasten seatbelt signs which are all on and set. Go align the nabs 1 and 2 for the IRS. Flaps can be tested, flight recorders tested which is checked, a voice recorder which can go on. Get both packs onto auto, isolation valves open. We're going for a flight level of 310, we're leaving out for 68 tons today on the flight. For the landing elevation down in Sion, we'll just check that quick. So for the IGS for runway 25 is 1582, so we'll put that for 1600. Okay, which is checked, get the anti-collision light on, go down, get all our panels which can be set on. Okay, which is checked, panel lighting, overhead panels on. So we're going to the FMC and now get the aircraft all set ready to leave. So we're leaving out from London Luton Airport, which is Echo Golf Golf Whiskey. Get that from the left GPS, which will punch through. On for our routing, we're leaving out for runway 25 for the Compton 4 Bravo. Over on our routes page now, we'll get the route for the aircraft all set up. So we're then going to go direct to Midhurst. From Midhurst, we're then going to take the Uniform Lima 612. That's going to take us to Resme. Then we've got the Uniform Mike 975. Which is going to take us to Peckham. From Peckham, we've got Pillow. Then from Pillow, we've got Pimmup. Pimmup's going to take us to Pixaz. Then Pixaz to Pibat. Then we've got Lusa. Then from Lusa we've got Vadar. And Vadar is going to be for the arrival. So we're coming in for the Vadar to November. Okay, we should be here. Should be here somewhere. Let's just get that. That's for Luton. So we go in, we've got LGS Lima Sierra Golf Sierra. There we go. On for the arrival, we've got the Vader to November coming in for the IGS for 25. We're going to transition for Guarana, activate that up, which is set. Go and load in for the perf, get that all set up. Then we can go get the performance in for the aircraft before we depart runway 25. So we're leaving 68 tons, nice and hot today. Once we leave, we get the TA to TA, which is set. On pump in for the APU now, which can go through. Window heats can all go on, 1, 2, 3 and 4. As that gets done, we'll load up the perf now. We're going for 310 on the altitude. And cost index today is going to be 60. Okay, which is checked. Okay, that's fine. Coming in for the runway winds, so 251 at 6.2. As we get on top of climb, 247 at 6.8. Okay, which is in. That's going to give us our minus 49. Let's go to our M1 limit now for the turbo performance. We've got a flex temps 39, D rate normal. Okay, which is in 95.3 and extra 2 N1, which is fine for us on this occasion. So, no descent path after Nasib, that's fine. As we go through now, runway winds, which we've got 210 at 10. Runway slow, which is up 0.1. Back now, we'll go for flaps 5. Centre of gravity can go in. 138, a 143 and a 149 for V2. So V2 plus 20 will be a 169. Get a flight directors on, which are checked, going up for 310. Okay, which is also set and checked. APU's now ready to switch over the buses, go to the APU gen, get the yaw dampers all in. Got anything for the sensor, which is 0.7, we can leave that on. Electrics can now go on, which I'll check. The APU bleed with the engine bleeds, which are also off and set. So that's the aircraft pretty much set up now on that front. What we need to do pretty much is basically call the tug and get ready to leave. QNH is leaving out 1000. Okay, 1000, which is checked. Auto brake RTO, auto throttle, which are armed, and we are now ready to leave. So we'll go to the setup, go to ground services, release the ground power, release the stairs. Everything else is all ready and set to go. So we can call the pushback. Brake, we'll just make sure the brake's on. For some reason it's always off. Chocks are set that. Wait for the stairs to leave as they are now, and we can now go ahead and start up. So, standard left, set the tag, start.
Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our left. Roger that. Ready for pushback, tail to the left. Release brake, please.
Okay, packs can now go off, which are checked. Brakes released.
Brakes released.
So it should be a nice arrival down into 2.5 in the mountain valleys of Switzerland. Should be some snow. We'll go straight through the mountains for the IGS approach.
Brakes released, here we go.
Okay, so we go for engine number 2. Start valve will open. So the localizer is offset by 6.5 degrees. At 4 DME we need to then make a left-hand turn, then swing past the hospital onto the right, and then line up onto 2.5. So 25% N2 will inject fuel. We'll see the EGT start to increase for engine number 2, then it will fire up. Okay, 25, number 2's in. Hey, cheers, see you, good evening, my man. Hope you're doing well, pal. Hope you're having a good evening. So as the EGT now starts to increase for engine number 2, we're now pushing back. Let's take that right hand turn. 56% start to cut out, we'll turn off, and then we can go for ground on number 1. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, and 6. Start to cut out's back. I'm going to fire up number 1, get that ready to go. Already directly in front of Alpha, so we can just go straight ahead, line up, back taxi. That's no worries, my man. You have a good evening, pal. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next flight. So stay safe, my man, and I'll see you soon. Okay, 23%, 24, 25, fuel's in, parking brake, which is also set.
Brake set.
EGT now rising for engine number 1. So the IGS approach, I haven't done the IGS approach in the PMDG 737, but it is going to be a spectacular arrival down into the mountain valleys tonight. See you soon, bye bye. So EGT is now rising for engine number 1, wait for that, 56% again, start to cut out, switch back, we'll switch the buses over from the APU to the gen, and then we'll be ready for our taxi straight up Alpha, back taxi onto 2.5, and then get ready to leave. We've got 95.3% of N1, we only need 93 really, so we're all good on that front, and everything else is a-okay for the flight today. Okay, let's start to cut out, which has come back. EGT now is stable, so we'll switch over to Gens 1 and 2, go to Gen 1, get the probes on, isolation valves to auto. The isolation valves auto, packs to auto, bleeds can go on with the APU bleed, which is off. APU can be turned off, engine start switches are continuous. Ding the cabin, let them know that we are all ready to go, and we are now pretty much ready to leave. So I'm not going to delay any further. I'm going to go out on a swift departure, get the terrains on as well, which are checked, and we are ready to go. So runway turn off lights, taxis which can go on, and we can now release the brake and taxi on up to runway 25. So I'm not sure if the throttle's not working. Let me just get it in. Let's just give it another reload. Okay. Now they're working up. Flaps 5, which can go down. Okay, we're directly on Alpha anyway, so we're just going to go right up to the end and then back taxi 25 ready to blast out. 68 tons leaving today. So it should be a nice arrival. Never been to Sion airport before. Lima, Sierra, Golf, Sierra. And I haven't done an IGS approach in the 737. All the IGS approaches is basically an ILS approach, but the ILS isn't, the localizer isn't lined up with the runway. So we're offset by about 6.5 degrees. And once we get to around 4 DME from the airport, we're going to brake onto a left-hand turn and then past the hospital, swing a right-hand turn to line up with the runway. So it should be a fun approach today. Flight time's just over an hour, so it's not too long. And we're just going direct there this evening. Okay, so I'm going to turn the strobe straight on so we can go directly onto the runway. Okay, take a left, back taxi 25. Okay, turn around. V2 plus 20, which is 169. And here we are at runway 25. So I've got the landing lights on. Before takeoff checklist, we've got the auto brake which is set to RTO, flaps 5 which is engaged, the LNAV can be armed, then select coming out which is going to be on the 254. Okay, which is also checked. Landing lights, engine start switch continuous, packs auto and bleeds are on. So we're ready to go now. So I'm going to push forward on the column. Going to speed up to 45%, around 50. Okay, stabilised, and there we go. Speed live. Check, throw holds. 100, neutral on the column.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate. Bit of wind.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. Hold V2 plus 20 until we hit climb, and then we'll start to accelerate up into our right hand bank. As you can see with the power as well, it's absolutely monstrosity. Okay, there's climb power, go up to 220. Fully will stay in. Light director will drop down. Trim the aircraft. Now just align ourselves back up. And out through London Luton we leave. So, auto brake can be turned off. Gears up and off, no lights, we can turn that off as well. There's now power up to flaps 1. Just going to trim the aircraft out. There we go, she's stable. Okay, speed check, flaps 1. Compensate with a bit of trim. The aircraft will probably lose a bit of drag. Okay, which is fine. Pass through 4005, probably going to hit a restriction. 4008, 3000 above, which is fine for 5000. So speed check, flaps that up. CMDA, which is on. Yeah, which is checked. We now can go in 250, and away we go. So check the target altitude at 310, which is there. Target altitude is 5002, so the aircraft's going to hold 5000 feet. Shouldn't be for Henham. Then we've got the Delta 344 Rodney. So it's going to hold just around for 5000 feet, which is fine. Got some lovely views as we leave out. Then we're going to go direct up to 310. So from 5000 feet all the way up, you can say that we are cleared up. Because use altitude intervention, that could probably pull us up. I'm not sure if it will work. Oh. Okay, we've got for lever change, so we've been cleared up, restricted, straight up. 310, which is in, so not off scheduled descent. Don't know why that's there. Leads on, everything's fine. A little bit weird. There we go. So that's off now. I'm going to climb up. 310. Get a window on departure. Apart from that, the winds are fine. Not too bad. Pass through 7,000 feet, 10,000, we'll get landing lights off, runway turn off lights, taxis which can also go off, engine start switches can be turned off as well. There's now 8 degrees, we get the engine anti-ice on, which is checked. Pass through 8,001. Landing lights now turned off, and we can release the cabin. So we're going up for flight level 310. After takeoff, checklist, gear is up, off, no lights, flaps are up, no lights, auto brakes are off, packs are auto, bleeds are on, recall's clear, and cabin's been released. So there's 10,000 feet now. Going to go up to 320 on the speed. That's 320. And on for the climb, 310.78. It's right there for the climb out, 7.8, which is fine. On for the cruise, 1.80. Okay, and this one 786. Okay, so that's fine as well. Aircraft recalculate itself. As we now just track inbound onto the 225. Okay, 225, which is in, 320 coming through. The aircraft's going to then continue its climb out up to a flight level 310. And then we can get ready for that lovely arrival in to Sion. So I'll show you the approach for the IGS, the Instrument Guidance System approach, which is basically ILS, but the localizer is just offset on the arrival. So we're going to take the Vadar to November, which is going to come in on 136, flight level altitude at above 190. Once we get down to social, we'll be down to 170. Follow it all the way down to Grana, which is our transition, at or above 17,000 feet. And then we ride from Grana straight onto that straight turn to 094. Follow it all the way around. As we can see, we've got speed restrictions, 210 max, 210, 25 degrees back bank angle, which we've already got set in, which is fine. Then we're going to line up for the runway intercepts, just like an ILS system for the 110.7 onto the 244, except the 244 localizer is offset by 6.5 degrees. So we're going to have to, at 4 DME, we're going to have to basically make a left-hand turn and then swing onto a right. 6 DME, sorry, we're going to make a left-hand turn, and then at 4.4 we'll line ourselves up with the runway onto the 251. So that is the approach. Missed approach, climb 17,000 on the radial 067, inbound VOR for the Sierra India Oscar, and then leave the VOR for the radial 324. So the approach is going to be quite a nice approach. We can see here 17,000 down to 16, follow it all the way down. 7 DME is going to obviously be the missed approach point. Approach inhibited glide path unusable. So minimums will be 2908 once we come down, and we've got all the ground speeds here. So should be a fun approach. Hope you guys are having a great evening as we get ready to go to Sion. First time going to Sion, so it's not a real world flight with TUI. It's just it didn't have a Swiss Air for the 737, so I thought we would just take out TUI, take that straight from London Luton all the way up. So 15,007. No descent path after Massab, that's fine, we'll sort that out. Let's go to Compton, which is set. We've got the unrestricted climb out, then 1884 Midhurst. So we're already climbing now. Go to Midhurst direct, swing the aircraft in. Hey Drip, my man, good evening pal. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Nice to see you here this evening. Just on the climb out, ready to leave up for flight level 310. Yeah, from New Zealand, nice. I expect the weather's better here than the UK. But great to see you here, my friend. So we're now passing 17A, I'm going to put the aircraft back into VNAV. We go to VNAV speed. As it will hold the speed up for the altitude to 310, then we'll go back into VNAV path. So lovely views as we rise up. Standard QNH back over 1013 and -5 now on the temperature. Sion's in Switzerland, mate. Hope you're having a good evening. So just passing flight level 200 now, on our way up. 11,000 feet to go. And we cruise straight over the coast and then down into Switzerland for the IGS-25 approach. 26 nautical miles from Midhurst. Hope you guys are all having a great evening. As we should see some snow on the mountains as we come through the valley. It's basically a mountain valley approach, and it's quite a high altitude approach as well when we come down. So as we're coming up now, I might as well release the cabin, which is all released. Get some lovely views of the UK before we leave over the coast. Oh, how do I stay so calm? Well, I've always enjoyed flying the 737 in X-Plane 11, so when the Zevo mod was out, I did studied it, I read up on the systems, etc., and sort of practiced on the approaches and how to use the FMC of LNAV VNAV, its lateral vertical guidance, and now I kind of have a good understanding of this aircraft. Everything, always stay calm and collective. If you panic, things are going to go out of control very quick. If you give yourself time, prepare yourself, brief yourself, everything will be okay. Now we've got the Navigraph charts here, so it's not all a panic. This is just basically an ILS, but like I said, the localizer is just offset, which is why it's an IGS, an instrument guided system approach. So if you brief yourself, like we say here, we're going to hit Grana for the transition. 17,000 feet, the aircraft will be in LNAV and VNAV mode, following its restrictions all the way down. So 17,000 feet, be max 220 all the way round till we get round to the Gulf Sierra 602. The aircraft will slow itself down, max 210, probably get down a little bit slower than that. Be our clean speed for the aircraft. So once we inset for the localizer, then we can start the descent down into Sion. Now, I'm not one of them people that buys them add-ons for the airports, pal. So I fly all over the place in the sim. I'm not going to just buy one airport and you know, then just go from there. I don't see the point of buying the payware airports, in my view. I mean, you can, but I don't really see the point of buying all these payware at airports. You know, it's not my thing. I'll buy the payware aircraft, but I'm not going to buy the payware airports. Don't see the point of it, to be honest. I fly the sim. I'm not here to just spend on an airport that, you know, I might go there a few times. I'm not going to do every single flight from that one particular airport. I'm going to be all over the place, so that's why I don't buy the airports for payware. But you can buy them if you want. That's down to you, pal. So as we pass now at flight level 26, just prepared. Mach decimal 8 for the cruise, and then back to 786. Yeah, that's it, Drip. You know, I'll pay for Navigraph, I'll pay for the PMDG, but for the payware airports and all that, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. So I'm in the same boat as you, pal. Definitely agree on that. I haven't got the 600 on the PMDG, but the 700 I've got, and the 800. I see they're going to be releasing a 900 soon. But yeah, it just makes sense, you know. You're just going to be putting money in the developers' pockets, and unless you're doing, like, I don't know, say you're doing like VFR flights from one airfield, for instance, I don't know, it might be worth it then, but when you're flying the airliners, you know, you're doing flights all over the place, you know, they're quite expensive too, they're not cheap. So it's just one of them things, you know. I don't really find it's worth it, to be honest, you know. When they bring up, obviously in a couple of days' time, in about 5 days' time or so, we've got the anniversary update, which is going to give us the Airbus A310 from Init Builds. So that's something to look forward to, which I am looking forward to. I'll definitely be showcasing that on the channel when it does arrive. But apart from that, unless Microsoft updates certain airports or etc., then yeah, they're just going to be a scene really. I mean, we only land and take off in them. It's not like we have a drive about in them, you know. So 4,000 feet to go now to reach our top of climb. Just reaching off the coast of the UK now, as we then cross over through France, then make a right hand turn all the way down into Switzerland. So I'm going to check out on the plan. They're just added extras, you know. That's the way I see them sort of things. They're just added extras, and you're just putting money into a developer's pocket that isn't really even needed, in my opinion. You know, it's just one of them things. Some people might buy it. That's down to their own preference. You know, I don't have nothing wrong with that. But for myself, I'm quite happy with how the sim is. I think the scenery is absolutely fantastic with the sim, especially when you come from X-Plane 11. X-Plane 11 always are downloading orthos, which is taking like 3 hours to download, and it's like you jump straight into the sim, and it's a major upgrade in scenic sort of views compared to X-Plane 11, which is why I haven't gone on to X-Plane 12, because I don't really want to go back to them days of using orthos, and I always used to fly the 737 in X-Plane. So to have this PMDG in Microsoft is like having the best of both worlds. So I don't think I'll be going to X-Plane 12 anytime soon, unless things change. It would be nice to go in the classics, like I said, the 737, the 737-200, the 742 and the 727. I'd go back in to do them. But hey Glitch Pal, hope you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, X-Plane 11 is a pain in the arse, I do agree. Especially when you're sitting there for 3 hours trying to download orthos, and you want to get a flight out, but then you've got to wait 2 to 3 hours just to download everything. It does get a bit out of hand. You know, I thought X-Plane 11 scenery would have been a little bit better. You know, the only thing they've got to hold on to really is their physics for the aircrafts, which are quite good. Which I'd say the Zebo mods physics are a lot better than the PMDGs. PMDG is very sensitive, but apart from that, I would have thought X-Plane 12 would have been a little bit better in that sense. It looks the same layouts there with the menus. Not a lot's really changed. Like, I mean, they've put the wet runways, etc. But I mean, I'm quite happy with Microsoft. It's straight as, it's quite nice. It's nice to see nice scenery on the floor when you're taking off, you're cruising, instead of just seeing like, well, what Ortho has to offer. Ortho's a good application to use. I mean, if you're using the simulator with nothing, then you are going to sort of, I don't know, you're not going to see much. So it's either wait 3 hours for Orthos to download and get some scenery, or wait for nothing. X-Enviro was really good. I did enjoy X-Enviro. That did bring some life to the sim and its weather engine. Especially like in snowy conditions, you get the nice snow on the windshield and the rain. That was very nice. But yeah, same as aviation. I don't think I'll get the 900, as I haven't really ever flown it too much, even when it was in X-Plane with the Zebo and that. Never really flew the 900 too much. It's a long aircraft. There's only limited airlines with it. The 800 is sort of like the neutral aircraft to fly out of the 737 fleet, and that's why I didn't buy the 600, because again, limited airlines, it's got some big monstrous engines on it, and you're always going to be doing a D-rated takeoff, and unless you've got the takeoff performance, I've got Topa performance. If somebody hasn't got that, you're just going to be using either takeoff 1 D-rate or takeoff 2, and you're still going to rocket out of the runway at like 4,000 plus feet per minute. So I definitely agree with you. I did see someone put a video up on YouTube saying about PMDG. They're going to bring out the 737-900, and they're going to get a EFB but they're saying something about the performance or something. They're still testing out the EFB, so that is on its way, which will be good because then we don't have to go elsewhere for performance calculations. And exactly that, Drib. It's a hot rod. It's a pocket rocket. As soon as you tow her up, the plane's off. You know, with them big engines compared to that little small-bodied aircraft. You know, if you was a passenger on that in real life, I bet it would be a proper rocket as you go off up into the sky. But yeah, I caught the 700. I then grabbed the 800. The 800 is nice because it's just like normal, you know. So we're at 310 now, just holding out. On our way to lovely Sion for that lovely mountain valley approach. Not sure how it's gonna, I don't know what the scenery is gonna look like down there. I suppose it will look quite nice. We should have some snow down on the mountains when we do come into that descent. It's 17,000 feet, so it's going to be a high altitude approach coming down in. Okay, no descent path after Masab. Let's have a look at Masab, see what we've got going on. So let's have a look at the plan. Check out the flight plan coming into lovely Sion. So that's the ring around from Grana when we come down into the runway, which is on the charts as well, which we can see. So I'm just going to go back into step, have a look at Masab, see what Masab's got. 17,000 above, no descent path after Masab. Masab's going to come down 17,000, and that's for the localizer. So let's have a look, get Masab up on the charts, probably on the arrival. But Vadar, Sokol, Grana, and then Vadar. So let's see where Masab actually is. Okay. Take the Grana. And we'll go all the way around. So Masab's right there. That's going to be the start of the actual arrival down onto the runway. So it's just an ILS, but basically just following it down. So let's have a look at the IGS. There's Masab, 17,000, down for 16,000. There's no descent profile after that. That's fine. 17,000. I'm going to put that down in for 770. Go to that. I'll leave that there. And then 17 to 16,000 for Aleto. That's where the start of the descent starts. So that should clear that descent path off. It's going to be 17,000 all the way down. On the arrival, which we can just double check up with the FMC. So I'm not going to worry about the no descent path after Masab, as we're going to intercept it on for the ILS, which is going to be the 110.7, 244, and localizer course offset at 65. So we're coming down to 244, but realistically we're going to be coming down onto the 251, so it's 6.5 degrees offset. So we're at 6 DME at 3,220 feet. We're going to basically make a left-hand turn. We'll disconnect at 6 DME, come onto a left-hand turn, and then at 4.4 we then make a right to then line back up with the runway, and then arriving on runway 25. So it's a pretty straightforward approach, straight from Vadar, out or above 190, out or above 170. So we'll just run that in, make sure that we've got that as well. Okay, we'll go one page back. So there's Vadar, 190 above. Then we've got So-So, out or above 170. Grana, out or above 170, which is checked. Then from Grana, which is here at 170, then go to the Gulf Sierra, 601, then the 602, 603, and then a down for Masab for 170. Drop down to 16,000, and then we go down to 244, which will be set. So we get the aircraft fully configured by the time we run down into that descent profile, as the glide slope is going to be pretty shifty as soon as we reach in. Apart from that, it should be a really nice flight. So yeah, you can go on as well. So it's currently tracking the 140. There, we just checked. On descent, top of descent 350, 1337, so just around 40 minutes, and then we will be starting our top of descent. You can take a look out at some of the scenery here. Lovely to see the 800 in Microsoft. And we've also got the Phoenix as well, the A320, which is also nice. So you've got the best of both worlds. If you like an Airbus, you've got that. If you like a Boeing, you've got the 737 fleet. So you've got the best of both worlds in this simulator right now. Soon to come is the 757, the A310s coming in 5 days time with the 40th anniversary update. So that's definitely something to look forward to. As you used to have the A300 in it builds for X-Plane. So I have a rough idea of how the A300 works. So we'll just incorporate that to the A310, which is just a smaller bodied aircraft. Check the METARs down in Sion. So the METARs down in Sion is the variable at 1 knot. Cloud visibility is okay. QNH 1018, temperature's 8 degrees, there's no clouds below 1500 meters and no kilometers. So it's going to be a nice scenic arrival coming down into 25. There shouldn't be no cloud coverage that will block our view, so we should be able to get a good view of everything as we come in today. Got a flight recorder replay system as well, so we'll get the approach in. I'll replay that for you guys so you can see the approach that comes in. If you haven't seen it, yesterday we was down in Washington DC at the Ronald Reagan Airport. We did the river visual down into 19 I think it was, which we've gone out on the flight, which was the flight which we've done last night. So we just ran it down all the way visually and manually down the river and then bank round onto that right hand turn to come in. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you go check that out. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. As new community members, you're always welcome here on the channel. And you can probably take something from it as well. If you don't know how to do something, I'm sure that we've covered it in one of our flights, which you can incorporate into your flying or your sim, whatever sort of approaches you do. So the aircraft's pretty stable right now. We're looking for our arrival time down into the runway for our progress. Top descent is at 13:38, which is 327. We're going to arrive in for Sion at 13:55, which is 411 nautical miles distance to go. Okay, so you can sort of see your waypoints and everything, what you're going to do. The RMP is 0.30 for the approach. If it's doing an RNAV approach, we'll put that to 0.30, which will be 3/10 of a nautical mile from the aircraft's current position. You see the RMP is 2 nautical miles and 0.7, so it's 7/10. It's actual navigational performance in the region of its position. So apart from that, the aircraft's performing quite well. Quite well indeed. You can see here we've got the RMI, it's the radial magnetic indicator, which is basically like we've got in the 747-200, which is sort of used to navigate in a direction to track the VORs, with the horizontal situation indicator as well. I would like to get back onto the classics. That would be really nice if they did bring a classic into the simulator. Would be really nice to see, because I would be in that quite a lot, especially if I had an INS system. As I did see the Bay 146, I thought that would have had an INS system, but it doesn't, it just has a FMC, so if it did have an INS I would have jumped into it, but currently it doesn't. So hopefully in the future they do bring some classics around and we can actually have a go in them. So we're currently tracking inbound now for Resme, which is 53 nautical miles. Got some lovely cloud coverage as we just fly overhead at flight level 310. LNAV VNAV which is in, following the VNAV path, which basically just level for 3-1. LNAV's in, tracking the 140. Not very high today, only at 3-1. Could have gone up to 3-7, but 3-1's nice. We can catch a little glimpse of some scenery that's about on the ground. We can see some of that as well. It's all nice. I hope you guys are having a great evening. And be sure to join me when we do go down into that mountain valley. I haven't been there before, so it will be a different approach as well. We've got the IGS, it's just an ILS, just offset. So I haven't ever flown into Sion. I was just looking at some of the scenic arrivals online, and I see that Sion was the first one that was there. So I thought we'd go down there this evening and see what the scenery's saying down there for Microsoft. It's a shame that X-Plane can't keep up with the scenery and that, like with the data. As if it did, it would have everything that you'd need physics-wise, but unfortunately it doesn't. So until then, I'm going to have to wait until a classic comes into this sim. As we've got all the classics in X-Plane 11, we've got the FlyJ Sim 7.2, 7.32, we've got the Phoenix, or the Felix 7.4, 200, which is very nice to fly. It's just missing the scenery. That's all it's missing really, is that simulator. It's got the physics. As we currently cruise along now, just flying over France and then down into Switzerland for that lovely evening arrival. I mean, I would take out the Airbus a little bit more, but the Airbus is just a little bit too simplified. You know, I enjoy setting things up. That's why the classics are just so much more enjoyable to use. You've got the INS system, you can put in your lateral points, you know, and you haven't got no screens. It's all literal manual navigating and just watching what you're doing. But we'll try and squeeze it down nice and soft onto the runway for 2.5 tonight. It'll be an interesting approach. It will be an interesting one. So we'll come down halfway on the approach in the autopilot, and then we'll make that left-hand turn, fly over the hospital if the hospital is there in the sim, and then bounce around onto the right, doing that manually into runway 2.5. So I'm going to get the minimums in, because then we don't have to worry about that when we do come down. Okay, so I'm going to take, for the IGS, I'm going to put 4490 in, which gives us 2908. So the airport reservation is 1582. So 4490, which will go in. It takes quite a while, so I'll do that now. As I know, that's one thing that they could have done with the Barrow, made it a little bit more sensitive. So when you do hit it, it goes up a little bit more quicker. It does take forever to get that all up. So I've been holding it for like 15-20 seconds now. It's only at 2000. We still need to go another 2000. So 4490 is going to be the MDA. Lovely cloud coverage outside. Okay, 4001, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, there's 4490 there set on the MDA for the Barrow, which will be for our minimums. As we're going to brake onto a left-hand turn now, which takes us on to the 123 for packing. Plug that in, 123, which is in a checked. So we've got an airport down below, which you can see just between the break of the clouds. Have a look, probably see what that is, and see what airport that is. So that looks like Lima Foxtrot Papa Oscar, which is right over to our left as we just pass. It's just there. So here's the brake to the 123. On our way to lovely Switzerland, so we should see some snow on the mountains this evening when we come down into that approach. When I looked up where Sion was and I see that it was in Switzerland, it's actually a nice little area. Come down the valley and then swing it in, so we'll see what happens this evening on this approach. First time flying there, so first time seeing the views, first time I haven't even checked out the airport in the sim, I haven't been there. Haven't tried anything out there, so everything that we see tonight is going to be new when coming down onto that approach. We could have done Vienna to Sion, but I thought we'd do it so it's just a little longer than that, because I would have done just one leg straight over and that would have been it. So I thought we'd do one leg straight over from the UK over to Sion. So 1307 now, top of descent, 252, 1338. So just around another 30 minutes and we are going to be coming down into runway 25, hit the valley. So I'm quite as interested to see what this aircraft is going to show us when we come down into Sion. Currently 22 nautical miles from Pekin, where we then make another right hand turn to then track in for the 1444 for Pillow, Pimp, Pixas, Pibap, all P's. Currently just over from the right hand side, blowing over to the left, we've got 67 knot winds. We'll get the forecast in for the aircraft so it can recalculate its top descent. We'll do that in about 15 minutes time. Then it will recalculate its current position for our top of descent point, and you'll see that disappear as well as we'll be near our top of descent. I'll show you that. So it's always good to get your forecast weathers in to update the aircraft of what's happening, because if you don't update the aircraft and the winds are quite strong, like headwind, tailwinds, etc., then your top of descent point won't go backwards to then compensate for the descent, which then means that you're either going to overshoot or you're going to be descending at such a rate that the aircraft isn't going to be able to keep up. Or it will. If it's in VNAV path, the aircraft will keep up with the descent rate, but the speed is just going to fly out the window, and probably speed brakes are not even going to help you on that one. So let's have a look at what other arrivals they've got in on that approach. Obviously we're taking the Vadar to November. They've got a 1 Whiskey as well, which is a Valor. 1 Whiskey, which will take you to Granada, so we go straight up and then we take a right, but we're following straight down, so it's literally a straight line coming in for 25. Let's see what else they've got here. They've got an RNAV approach, we can have a look at that. So for 25 we've got an RNAV approach. Which is going to be the same, and then come straight round onto that right. There's Grana. So the aircraft's going to come round all the way up, and then make a right hand turn. There's the initial fix for the Golf Sierra 616. Then follow itself around, max 160, should be down on your approach speed then, and then it'll swing into that left hand turn. Okay. Okay, recommended altitudes as well. there's that track now as we roll into the 141. Just check. So yeah, we're doing the IGS approach. We're not going to do the RNAV, we're going to do the IGS, which is simply nice and straightforward. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be quite nice to see. Clouds are looking lovely today in the sim. Quite low coverage. As I said, we could have gone to flight level 370, but 310 is high enough to catch some lovely views outside before they get too high and you can't see a thing. So as we keep pushing forward now, only got around 20 odd minutes to go, just under, around 28 minutes, and then we're going to start that top of descent down into Sion. Let me know what you guys think of the PMDG, whether you think, if you own it, if you think that the PMDG is sensitive, because I find it's very sensitive on the controls, like I explained earlier. From the recent update that it had a few days ago, the controls are so sensitive. I've turned down the sensitivity on the pitch and the axis. I haven't touched anything on the rudders yet. The rudders are quite sensitive as well. And that's why sometimes when we're compensating on takeoff, you might see the wings rock a little. So let me know what your thoughts are with the PMDG. Whether you're having a good time with it, whether you don't like it. Let me know what you think of the Phoenix as well. Whether you enjoy the Airbus, what's your favourite aircraft to fly, whether it's Boeing or Airbus. There's 156 track now heading in as we take off to Pim up. Which is in. We do Mach decimal 81. Yeah, which was right on the verge. So we can have a look outside. Lovely aircraft. TUI is one of my favourite airlines to fly. Liveries are absolutely lovely. Definitely drip. The autolands are very nice to fly. I haven't flown one actually live with the channel with you guys. If you guys do want to see an auto land, just let me know. We can arrange one with a flight that we do. Even if there's no visibility or visibility, we can still try one out and see what it's like. They do it very nicely indeed. Yeah, I know what you're saying with the Airbus. There are certain gaps on the front of the console where there are certain pieces missing. Like we've got the standby instruments, it looks like some standby instruments. It could be where could be the airline operators. They haven't added that as an added option maybe. But I know what you mean. It's sort of like with the grey. It's like a plastic. Like spots are missing that needs to be cut out. And saying that with the auto land, for some reason with the Phoenix, with the A320, when I was doing an auto land a few days ago, I thought I'd try it out. For some reason, when the aircraft got down to its flaring point, it started to veer off to the right for some reason. So yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, when we was using the Airbus, We didn't need to use the auto land, but I'm not going to try out the auto land until that gets fixed, because I've done it twice and I tested it out on 2 occasions, one after the other, and at both times, as soon as the aircraft hit flare, it just veered off to the right for some reason, just started banking a little to the right going off the runway. So definitely not going to use an auto land, but in the PMDG, safe as sound, it's definitely okay to use. And if you guys want to see an auto land from the 737-8, you know, just let me know, leave it down in the comments. We can arrange a flight which will take us to an auto land. Whether we've got visibility or not, it doesn't really matter. You know, some airlines, when they're just practicing to keep up with pace, you know, they do an auto land. But yeah, the Airbus interior does look like stuff is missing. I do agree on that. It's like it's got the imprints of where things should be, like where the standby instruments are, but on some they don't. Like I say, it could be with the airline operator. Maybe they don't, they didn't include that or choose to have that, you know. But yeah, at least with the 737, everywhere you see a space is filled. Even on the overhead, you know, spaces are filled. You might have just little gaps here and there, but apart from that, everything is all filled and it is looks very nice. Lots of buttons indeed. About the Airbus, it's alright, it's not a bad aircraft. I prefer the Boeings all day long. All day long, 737's favourite aircraft to fly. Then after that, out of the Boeings, I do like a 757. 757, little pencil, that's a nice aircraft to fly. So we're just currently 34 nautical miles now to Pixus, where we break off to the right. As it says, no descent path after MSFS. We're going to hit the ILS then, so that's fine as we're coming down for that IGS approach. We'll then track left onto the 109, which will be next. So I'm not bothered about that because MSFS is literally one waypoint, a few nautical miles from where we descend. We descend from 17,000 to 16,000 after MSFS, and then that is where we lock in on the glide slope to come down. And then at 6 nautical miles, that's where we disconnect, make a left, 4 nautical miles, make a right, and then bang onto 25, ready to come in on the approach. So do stay tuned, as we are going to see this lovely aircraft go down into the mountains. I'm not sure what the scenery is going to be like, but it should be very nice. Definitely see some snow on them mountains when we come in. It's high altitude, 17,000. We start the glide slope at 16,000 feet. Minimums is at 4490, so around 2,000 feet is where where our minimums is going to be, as the airport's elevation is 1886. So we're about 400 feet above that for the minimums. And then at 6 DME we swing off to the left, reach the hospital, 4.1 DME make a right hand turn, and then we'll be lined up. So we'll do that all manually. From 6 DME we'll disconnect, so we'll run it down to minimums, or at 6 DME, then disconnect the aircraft, swing a left hand turn, and then track that 6-degree offset back to 251 from the 246. Weather's nice and calm down in Sion, only variable 1 knot, and the visibility and cloud is okay, so that's fine. So it should be nice and scenic, there shouldn't be no problems there, as it is basically a valley approach. We can have a look at the vicinity chart as well. So we can see the vicinity chart. There's a Sion for the BOR, which is 11215. You can see with the terrain, 72, 10,000, 10,000. We'll be operating around this vicinity here. As we're going to come over 17,000 feet, spin around, and then come straight down into the valley. And as we come into the valley, there's the hospital, the Sion hospital right here, and that's where we're going to basically break off to the left, then break off to the right. There's the hospital. So as we come down, when we get to about 6 DME, we're then going to break off to the left, When we hit the hospital, which should be about 4 DME away from the airport, we'll hit that right hand turn and then line up for 25 and come straight in to the airport. So that should be a nice approach. It's all in a valley as well, so it's very nice indeed. First time flying there, so just like you guys tonight, it's going to be a first to see with myself what the scenery and everything's saying. 13:21, we're going to be starting the top of descent at 13:37, so in around 15 minutes time that's when we are going to start to come down. Yeah, that's it, Drip. Yeah, I bet you're loving it. Everything done for you in the autopilot, eh? Oh, Queenstown, definitely. We did Queenstown a few days ago, actually. That was a really nice approach. That was really nice. We didn't do the circle to land, where you basically go over the airport, spin around into a right to left, and then line yourself back up. We came straight down through the valley, and that was really nice to see. That was actually a really nice approach. That's on the channel as well. That was a few videos ago, a few days ago, I think, when we did that. So definitely check that one out. Going to hit the 156, and that's going to track us now to the 109. Okay, 109, which is in. We've got 15 minutes to go, so top of descent should be in reach. There's our top of descent point. So we'll get the forecast, and you'll see that top of descent disappear when we start to get that in for the descent and everything. So we'll go into the forecast. Let's go and check to see what the trans flight level is. Okay, so we'll say it's 17,000. I'm going to knock it for 18,000, so we are already. So we'll leave that at flight level 180. QNH coming in to Sion. We'll just refresh the METARs at 1018. Okay, which is in. Go get our descent winds, etc. for the runway, which we've got here. So from the top of descent, we're only going to need from 31, 20, 15 and 10. So I'm going to put 310, 200, and one. Actually, no. Put 300, 100. So we'll get that off. So I'm going to put 25, 15, and 5. So 263 at 41. Then we've got 251 at 08, which we'll leave at around 15. Okay, winds are variable, so 251, 10. So we see now top of descent's there. It'll probably stay the same. Once we execute off, that'll disappear. Hasn't moved, so that's fine. It can stay where it is. We're only going to be reaching down before the descent at around 14,000 feet. So it's only a short descent down from top to bottom. But yeah, Queenstown is a lovely approach. Yeah, that's the forecast page, so not going to worry about that. So basically, if you go into the descent part, and then you'll see you've got forecast. If you put the forecast in, you can request it, but it doesn't work. I'm not sure if it does work, but I've tried it before and it doesn't do anything. So just put them in manually. You get them off SimBrief, and you see your descent winds down at the bottom. You just put your trans level in. You can put in whether you got the ISA or your anti-ice is going to be on or off, at what level. Because with your anti-ice, right now with the anti-ice on, the aircraft's operating at with its N1 power. If we was descending idle with the anti-ice on, the aircraft will be operating at 3% N1 higher on an idle speed than when you turn it off. So because we're 8 degrees, what I'll do is when we are descending, I'll show you. So if our idle right now was say 35% N1 for idle speed with the anti-ice on, if we was to knock the anti-ice off, the idle speed would then drop by 3% N1, and that would drop us down to say 32%. So I'll show you that as well on the descent as well. So that's why the aircraft asks on the forecast page, because you're going to be losing, you're going to be gaining 3% on the thrust power for idle. But yeah, it's always good to put that in, update that, so the aircraft knows what's going on, so it can sort of get itself prepared, and if it needs to start doing things a little bit earlier, then it can. Apart from that, our top of descent is reaching right literally just past SOSAL. So as soon as we go into our top of descent, that's when we're literally going to start the descent down. Now I want to make sure, because we've got a little bit of a run up, I want to make sure that these are 17,000 above, because I want to make sure that the aircraft's down and there is no hold-ups, because we haven't got no time to mess about when we do come down. As you see, we've got 17,000 above all the way from Grana, so everything here is 17,000 above, 17,000 above. So I'm going to make sure that just before we hit MSFS, which is 210 at 17,000 above, I'm going to make sure that's flight level 170 as well, because then we can make sure that we are at 17,000 feet and the aircraft doesn't hang about as we're sitting at 17,000 above. So 20 nautical miles now to Luton, and then we can see that lovely arrival, which is just in view, ready for Sion in Switzerland. So we're not too far away now. We're not too far away at all. As you can see, it says no descent path after MSFS. We're going to be coming down. We've got the approach. So let's go and get the ILS and everything all in for the IGS approach. So we've got the 110.7 for the India Sierra India. When we come down, as we can see here, for the SIO, so on the right hand side I'll leave the VOR in when we come down for the visual approach, as we can come straight in. So from 7 DME at 6.8 and then 60 from 6, we're going to do the visual down once we come through. So we use the IGS and then switch it into the visual for that approach. So we've got the 110.7. Okay, which will flick through. And on the right hand side, the flight directors on our left hand side, so it will run everything through our system. And we've got CO, which is the 112.15. Okay, 112.15, which is in as well. So that's all in. We've got VOR. The VOR2 will come in for Sion. And on the right hand side we will get everything. The approach is going to be in for the 246. I think it's a 245, just double check. So we come down to 244, as the offset 6.5 degrees, which is why it's an IGS approach. It's just an ILS, but the localizer isn't directly centered with the runway. Yeah, that's it, pal. It's always good to set everything up early, get it all prepared. So we now switch that left hand turn, which is going to bring us on to radar for the 088. Okay, which is checked. There's our top of descent. I'm going to just bug down to 17,000 so the aircraft can go into its top of descent point. Okay, we've got 16,000 really initially, so there's 16,000, which is checked as well. Once the ILS system comes into play, then we can see the localizer beam and the glide slope, which will then pop up as well. That's the 110.7, just a double check. Yeah, 110.7, India Sierra India. So you can see localizer course offset 6.5, which is why we're going to do that right to left. So that's all in. We're now 3-1, and we've got 53 nautical miles to radar, and then our top of descent, which is literally just next to SOSAL for the approach for our arrival star. So our standard terminal arrival, can see that we've got on the terrain, we've got terrain at 15,002 and 7,007, and on the vicinity chart we've got terrain exactly around about 10,000 feet before we hit into the valley. So we're going to see the mountains start coming soon. And we're not too far away now from our top of descent. .45 nautical miles. Forecast weather winds are all in. Everything is all set up for the aircraft to come down now. Got the VOR in on the right hand side for the Sierra India Oscar, and India Sierra India for the localizer, which is going to be on the left. That way we can keep track of things, and at 60 ME switch it into the visual approach and then run things down. So as long as everything goes accordingly, it should go to plan. We'll get the flight recorder replay system in as well, so we can check out the replay after arrival. So once we do touch down and get to stand, stick around as I will switch over the replay system in so we can have a look at the touchdown. And thanks everybody who's joined me this evening. If you do enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe, as new community members are always welcome on the channel. And you see the aircraft's getting just a little bit bumpy now as we start to make way into Sion. So let's have a look and see how long the runway is, because with my throttles I've got them set up where I have to click a button and then advance the throttles back up, and that sets off the reverse thrust. Once I press a button on the joystick, then I have to advance. So basically I'll idle back to idle, touch down, press the button, activate the reversers, and then I have to power forward, as well as doing all the rudder inputs on the throttle as well. So it's all go go go. So because they lag a little bit, the thrust lags a little bit on the 737, I'm going to have to just have a look and see what the airport's like. And let's have a look at the runway. So you can see it's getting a little bit choppy now. So you can see grass 2,000 meters. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's go and program in for our descent. So on for the progress 42 to 47, which is 0.5. Take 0.5 off of that, so we've got 63, 64.1. It's going to be our approach speed. Okay, I'm going to come down nice and slow, 140. They're variable, so we can leave that as +5. Otherwise, with flaps 30, you're going to be looking around 150. I want to get in kind of as slow as possible on this one this evening. So you can see things are getting just a little bit choppy now as we approach into Switzerland. I've got the landing rate as well, which is on with the fly live, so it will show us our landing rate as well once we touch down. Just coming now within reach, just currently 16 nautical miles from Vadar, which is the start of the arrival. You're lucky, mate, you're lucky. It's go go go. As soon as we touch down, it's go go go. I wouldn't mind having the Boeing yoke. That looks quite interesting. Looks quite fun. I see that they've got an FMC, an actual FMC for the sim, but when you look at the prices for it, it's like £700. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, on descent, the aircraft's going to slow down. We want to go on to descent, Mach decimal 786. Okay, which is in. So just before we hit our top of descent, the speed tape's going to move down and the aircraft's going to start to slow itself ready for the approach. So here we come, there's the mountains, which you can see just over to our right. Tell the cabin to get ready, so seatbelts can go on. Okay, I'm going to get the flight replay system up. So you'll see a pause for around 5 to 6 seconds, and that's just basically the flight recorder replay system just setting itself up ready to record. So it's going to pause for about 5 seconds and then go back into the sim. Oh, that's wicked. What's it like, mate? It looks really nice. It looks really fun to fly. So there's a replay system which is in now and working for the replay for the flight. 16,000 which is set, auto brake number 3 which is on, anti-ice which is checked. It's currently 16 degrees, plus 10 degrees will then switch the anti-ice off. There's our top of descent now as we again get ready to track in for the 119. Okay, 119 which is in and set. There's lovely mountains now of Sion. There's a speed reducing now. Okay, as we now start to make our descent down into lovely Switzerland. So, all the way down now. So, 17,000 above, 17,000, 17,000, which is there. Just make sure that all the points are in as well. Okay, out or above 17,000, which is in, 17,000 out or above. Okay, 17,000 above, which is fine, passing through 300 now. The aircraft now follows the vertical deviation on the way down. Now start to pitch up a little. You can monitor the descent as well as we go to Grana. 3.2 on the flight path angle, 4.7 it wants on the vertical bearing. It was around 3,000 feet per minute. So it's going to be a little bit choppy as we come down. Oh, that's wicked, pal. At least that helps you out, eh? That's the main thing. At least it helps you with being able to interpret the aircraft and the control column, etc. So that's actually a really neat thing to have to help someone like yourself, you know. So that's actually great. If we have a look here, here's our valley that we're going to come in, all nice and snowy. So you know what? We're going to go max auto brake. We've got snow all over the place now, passing through flight level 274, all the way down, passing through 18,000 feet. We are going to then switch over the QNHs to 1008. A bit bumpy. You can see it's a bit all over the place. Okay. Let's pass through 26,000 feet. Checking our speeds, 300, 241, 2104 on the ZEB, which is fine. Below 210 we can get flaps 10 in as well. Let's pass through 25. So cabin crew, prepare the cabin for arrival. It'll be a lovely snowy arrival this evening. Let's pass through 25,000. Speed tape's going to start to move down slowly but surely as we then track off left, which will take us onto the 093. So lovely views, lovely scenic views here for Sion. May actually come back here at some point. Actually looks very, very nice. It's 8 degrees down there, so I'm going to leave the anti-ice off, that just might give us an extra bit on the decel. It's 2 degrees now. Quite choppy. 49 coming from the back end of the aircraft. There's that left hand turn now. Takes on to 093. Which is checked. Passing through 21,000 feet. QNHs check one more time just to update. 1018 is the QNHs passing through 18,000 feet. They'll be at 17,000 above, still 1018. That's fine. Let's take one last look as we come in at the charts, just to double check. So to come in on the chart, 60 ME from the VOR, we're then going to ride through, and then at 4.4 line back up for the 251. Okay, so there's a localizer which has come in. Max 210, which is for the Gulf Sierra 603. There's a VOR for the Sierra India Quebec. And there's a DME indicator for the localizer, which is the India Sierra India. Just want to double check to see what the descent rate is for the aircraft. Okay, so we're coming in for a 145, so it's a 6-degree glide path. And we're looking for probably around 1600 feet per minute. Okay, speed brakes can now come in. Cool. There we go, there she comes. It's a little bit choppy. Be back on the PC in a few days. So once we come out, there's 18,000, 1018. Okay. We max 210. Let's make this left hand turn, the aircraft to come back to normal. So it's 210, which will be for our flaps up. And we've got landing lights on, runway turn off lights. Engine start switch to continuous. It's quite choppy on that aspect. So there's our flaps up. So the aircraft gets ready to go into that left hand turn. It will descend down to 160. Okay, we're in control column over. As we're going to start that descent. So flaps 5. That localizer in. And we're going to run this down to 2000. The aircraft can run down in VNAV as the approach isn't going to be there. Okay, 6000. Now for 3. We're down at about 1500 feet per minute. As you can see, it's going to ride all the way down. 13.3, 13.3. Let's fire. Nothing from the ZEB. Under 210. There you can see the aircraft's quite choppy. Just waiting for the localizer. There is no glide slope here. By the sounds of it, even if we hit the approach, it's not there, so it doesn't matter. So there's a glide path which is in. Let's just drop that down. Okay, at 15, gear down. It's a very steep one. Over to down 3 green. We see we've got the glide path which is active. I'm going to try and get these flaps down ASAP. Should have gone down already. Okay. Lap 75. So glide path should come up. To head in. Take a little left hand turn. There's a glide path coming in as the localizer's offset. So just follow it down in LNAV. The final approach course hasn't come in for some reason just yet. 245, aircraft slowly slowing down now. Go to flaps 40, which is 145. Okay, so for the approach checklist, final approach course isn't in, so we've got it all now in. Hasn't tripped over, but that's fine. So we've got flaps 40, which is set. Got the gear down, 3 green. It's a rate set for max. See the aircraft doing some real wickedness as we come down this approach. So rockety rockety. Still 23 nautical miles from the VOR, so we haven't got to do that until 6 DME. So imagine the final approach course will come in at some point. It's very, very choppy. So, well, rocky one this evening. Very, very steep descent. Hey Burvo, good evening pal, hope you're well my friend. So land lights are on. Got the engine start switches which are continuous, anti-ice switch is on for the time being. So we are now ready for the arrival, which is going to be very nice. I'm going to come in manually once we do. So it's 6 DME from Sierra India Oscar. We're going to basically disconnect 3,220 feet. So the runway is down there somewhere. Passing through 10,005. So I should imagine the final approach course won't come in. So obviously we're coming offset at 6.5 degrees. The final approach course is in 251. So the runway is still 17 nautical miles, we've just entered 9,008. 3,002, 6 DME, we'll disconnect. Disconnect by minimums, fly it down manually. Minimums is 4490. which is going to give us our decision height of around about 3003. So yeah, it will be a close one, definitely. It's a 3.6 degree glide path, or a 6 degree glide path. So it's coming down quite choppy. There's a runway which you can see, which we've got right in our views. Let's pass through 8005 now. The aircraft is fully configured now for the approach, and I should imagine that's the airport, which is going to be right down there somewhere. So there's the airport right there, the runway. So we follow it right down the valley now, and then we'll brake a left, then into a right, and then track that onto the 151. So speed brakes in. Speed brakes at arm now. Pass through 7006. So let's get her in for a nice smooth one this evening. Final approach course is coming over. So obviously it's offset as well. We've got 245 in. Okay, and at 6 DME is where we are then going to disconnect, and at 4.4 DME we line up onto that left hand turn for the runway. Okay, so for the approach checklist, now we're all stabilised. Got landing gear, which is down 3 green. Got flap setting of 40, which is set. We've got our VREV 40 plus 5, which is going to come in for a 145. As we're coming in plus 8 now, we'll take the anti-ice off, which you'll see is going to give us 3 degrees of M1 thrust less, which will just help us out in this situation. As we pass through 6,000 feet, auto brake is set to max. Speed brake, which is armed. And we are ready for the approach. We can see that the runway is just in view. It's right there as we break away. 6 DME, we're then going to fly manually onto a left hand turn, and then at 4.1 DME from the VOR for the Sierra India Oscar, which is right here on the right hand side, we're then going to line up and come in. We're looking for around about 1400 feet, 1500 feet per minute. So, wish us luck, and here we go. Anakin, good evening my men, just in time for the arrival. Okay, 8.7. Make sure I have the runway in view. Runway's right there. It's snowy. So 251, so it's offset by 6 degrees.
Approaching minimums.
Okay, so approaching minimums.
Minimums.
Continue. Okay, so disconnect now. 6 DME.
2500.
I'll make a left hand turn. .7. Okay, 6. Onto this left.
Terrain.
That's fine.
1,000.
1,000 check.
Terrain, terrain, pull up. Terrain, terrain, pull up. Terrain, terrain, pull up.
So I'm going to get a little bit lower so we can get just over the threshold.
Terrain, terrain, pull up. Terrain, terrain, pull up.
Because we're in the valley.
500. 400. 300. 200. 100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, his brakes are up. And reverses are active. Push forward on the column. Decel. 80 knots. Slow the aircraft down. Reversers can be stowed. Manual braking. And welcome to Sion. So we'll back taxi. We might be able to come off right here. Should be good for us if we can. Okay, so speed brakes can be retracted. That's going to be fully retracted. And off of the runway we come. Oh, very tight indeed. Thanks, my man. Appreciate it, pal. So just as we come off now, we'll get the strobes off. Okay. Landing lights, which can go back up. Which I'll check. Leave landing lights in that until we turn around. And we've got the replay system as well, guys, so be sure to stick around until we just basically get up to stand, and then I will set it up so we can have a little look at that as well. So, what a lovely arrival that is down into Sion. Very, very nice. That was a very nice approach. Very nice indeed. That's the first time I've done that approach as well. That's it, my men. Thanks, Drip. Definitely got a lucky landing indeed. If we're in the 737, don't ever fear. We'll always get it down nice and safe, or we will get it down in one piece, that's for sure. But no, that was a really nice approach. Really nice. Quite happy with that. So flaps are fully retracted now. We'll just set the aircraft back up. So we get the auto brake, which can be turned off. Engine start switches, which can go off. APU, which will start up now, which will be checked. EGT will start to rise there. And we'll just park up somewhere around here, and then I'll show you guys the arrival with the replay system. So it'll be nice to see. Hopefully it runs all good outside. Okay. That's running alright. There she is. She's down, on the ground, in one piece. So I'm going to turn her in on this next right hand turn. If we did the Airbus, I'd have to do it with manual throttle, because the throttles just come in too, they just come in too delayed for some reason. And then, you know, with the descent rate as well coming down idle, by the time the throttles have actually pitched themselves up, you can't, it's no recovery, you know. Oh, we're in the helipad. But anywho, we're going to stop right here. Let the passengers have a good old view as we arrive. So let's set up the flight recorder system and have a look at that lovely arrival. What I'll do is put the brake on as well, so we do things appropriately. There we go. So let's pause the recording system. We'll go to load. Okay. And we'll load up the arrival. And I hope you guys do enjoy this flight. Hope you guys did enjoy the flight. If you enjoyed the content, the approaches, etc., don't forget to like and subscribe. Join the community, as everybody is always welcome here. So let's just go down to the runway so we can get the views up for the aircraft. And once I've done that, we can then get ourselves in view for the approach. So let's get ourselves all in. Come across. Which side should we do? Should we do a left or right? We'll do the left. Actually, we'll do this side. Got my sun on our side as well. So I'll show you guys the actual approach coming in. Get it set up nice so you guys can see it. Okay, there we are. So let's go in and reline our back. And we can see how far it was before the final approach course came in and actually got us up and running. So, guys, enjoy the arrival flight. I will see you tomorrow for another live flight. So be sure to subscribe, click the bell, make sure you're there. And I'll see you for another interesting flight on the channel. So stay safe and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.